Senator Lewis is Senator Barbara L'Italian from the town of Andover. We have next to Senator L'Italian, Senator Mark Pacheco from the city of Taunton. Next, you will hear from him in a moment. We have the Senate President, Stan Rosenberg, all the way from Amherst, Massachusetts. The creator of this idea of having Commonwealth conversations, my good friend Senator Mike Rodrigues from the town of Westport. To my left is the Senate Minority Leader, Senator Bruce Tarr from Gloucester, Massachusetts. Next we have from the city of Everett, Senator Sal DiDomenico. We have with us tonight Senator Jamie Eldridge from the town of Acton. Next we have Senator John Keenan from the city of Quincy. And last but certainly not least, we have with us from the city of Newburyport, Senator Katie O'Connor Ives. To turn this over now to Chancellor, our host, our gracious host here. We are delighted to be at the University of Massachusetts Lowell, and we are also doubly delighted to have Chancellor Jacqueline Maloney here with us. Chancellor Maloney.
Senator Donahue, and it is absolutely my honor and privilege to welcome you all to the University of Massachusetts Lowell and this beautiful university crossing. And for those of you who haven't had a chance to look out across the river at our North Campus, we're so proud of this university and so proud to have you here. And I see so many of our students, alumni, and faculty in the audience, and I want you to know how much I appreciate your participation in this great evening. At UMass Lowell, you know that we take very seriously our commitment to the Commonwealth and the needs of the Commonwealth in our community. Everyone here, I think, can take great pride in this university, UMass Lowell, and what we're doing here to prepare the next generation for the workforce, the members of our community, and also take great pride in the cutting-edge research that we're doing across this great university. You know, when I first heard about the Commonwealth Conversation tour last year, I was so impressed by the commitment of our state senate to engage in plans for moving this state forward, and most importantly, engaging you and hearing you and what your ideas are. Congratulations to Senator Roderick for bringing this idea to the forefront, but of course, this work should be no surprise. And I have to say, especially in the past year, this is a time we can all take great pride and comfort in being members of this great Commonwealth, where our senators take the time to go out and listen to you and hear what the challenges are that you face, listen to your hopes, your dreams for the future, and how they can assist in developing policy that will advance those hopes and dreams. We're honored to have a small role in hosting you tonight and facilitating this discussion. I would personally like to thank Senator Donahue for her incredible leadership as a senator, and prior to being a senator, her incredible commitment to the city of Lowell, where she served on the city council with great leadership and was one of the biggest change agents that led this great gateway city to the terrific place that it is now, the place where we are. Senate, she looked forward to working with her colleagues, those represented here, to take the lessons that we learned about strong partnerships in Lowell to the Commonwealth. And we look at this tour as, I think, a similar effort She has been tremendous, and of course, I would also like to thank the Senate President, Stan Rosenberg, who has similarly been a great champion, not just for the university system, which of course he has been a fantastic champion for all of UMass, but his leadership in the Senate has led to so many positive changes for the Commonwealth, so many great initiatives that so many of us in this room have benefited from. Thank you, Senator Rosenberg. And thank you to all of the members of the State Senate. We really appreciate your leadership. You are doing God's work in serving us, and we want you to know that we know the challenges you face as leaders, and thank you for taking the time to come and meet with this group. But before my final word, little secret. Okay, so Senator Donahue and Senator Rosenberg are both graduates of UMass Amherst. Now, we're not competitive at UMass, and we know that they really care about the whole UMass system, and they treat us all equally and with as much love as possible that they spread across all the system. But if you want to be in on a secret, who won Hockey East Championship last weekend? And I do think our Riverhawks are their favorite hockey team. And the truth is, we wouldn't be where we are without those two as lucky charms at our games throughout the season. So a special thank you for that. Honestly, it's a privilege to be here. Thank you for being at the university, and good luck with this discussion.
Thank you, Chancellor Maloney. Let's hear it for Massachusetts Lowell. Next, we'll hear from our Senate President Stan Rosenberg.
Well, good evening, and thank you very much for hosting us here this evening, Senator Donahue, and thank you, Chancellor, for the generous words that you've given tonight to Senator Donahue, well deserved, and also for all of the work that the Senate is trying to do through our shared leadership model. And there's an innovation happening tonight, and I may not have been paying attention, and maybe Senator Donahue has already said it, but this will be the first Commonwealth conversation that's ever been broadcast live on radio. So thank you, WCAP, for broadcasting. That's another wonderful innovation, and that was locally generated, and so thank you. That's really terrific. My role right now is to explain to you very briefly what the meaning of this is, because sometimes political people go out and they do listening tours, and people wonder, well, what are they really doing, and what are they really going to do with the information? And so what I'd like to do is to tell you that you are part of the process that the Senate uses to establish its priorities and set its agenda. And so the ideas and the issues and the concerns and the thoughts that you will present to us this evening will be used along with what we're hearing in 8 other full days of touring the Commonwealth. And we will go back to the State House with all of that information, and we will meet internally to then decide what our priorities are going to be. And as a way of demonstrating how this actually works, I invite you, when you get home tonight or sometime not so long from now, to go to the legislative website, navigate to the Senate page, and then to the Commonwealth Conversations page. And there you will find the report that was produced at the end of the Commonwealth Conversations tour 2 years ago. And then you'll also find a report that was written and posted at the end of the 2-year term. So you see what we heard from the public, and then you'll see what we actually did, and what got into law, and what got to the House. And not everything, of course, made it all the way to the governor's desk, but there's always this term, and we will take your ideas and your thoughts, and we'll blend it with a lot of other information that we gather, and we will use it to try to advance an agenda that will meet the needs of the people of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So I also want to say that Senator Donahue is going to be playing a new role in the Senate, and it's a special role, because there's a committee called Steering and Policy, which historically has had a wonderful job description that was unimplemented. It was great on paper, but it never actually happened in the Senate. So Senator Donahue has been appointed the chair of the Committee on Steering and Policy, and the job of the Committee on Steering and Policy is to identify legislation as it comes out of various committees that fit within the priorities and the agenda that was established as a result of the Commonwealth conversations, and steer those into the Policy Council, which she will also chair, which is a group of 7 senators who then work in the Democratic caucus to advance to the Democratic caucus the issues that we will be undertaking. But we are also a bipartisan group because although a small band though they are, the Republicans are a very mighty force in the Senate, and their opinions and their ideas are also integrated as a result of their participation in the Commonwealth conversations. So Senator Donahue will be playing a very, very special role in this newly empowered committee, which Senator Dan Wolf chaired last term and established the foundation for this expanded role for the Steering and Policy Committee. And I want to thank Senator Donahue for being willing to take on that huge responsibility. And she's your senator, so I think you should give her a round of applause for that. She will take encouragement from the support that she has back home as she works with her colleagues. And finally, I want to say that you will see that a number of us have tablets in front of us and iPhones. I know we are not playing Words with Friends or doing our emails. Many of us are using these to take our notes, which we'll be using as we go through Commonwealth conversations. So as we go through the rest of the evening, you will see you have a little bit more than a quarter of the state Senate sitting in front of you to hear your thoughts. And as you will see, we will only be listening. We will not be talking, we will not be asking questions, and we won't be engaging in debate with each other or with you. We're here to listen. Thank you.
And next, we will hear from the leader of that very strong but small band, the Minority Leader, Senator Bruce Tarr.
Thank you very much, Senator, and I want to begin with a series of thank yous. The first is to say thank you to Senator Donahue for reminding us just how important this university is, and for arranging for us to be here tonight to open the doors, to turn on the microphones, and engage in one of the truest forms of democracy. So, Senator, thank you for that, and thank you to the Chancellor and everyone at UMass Lowell for allowing us to be here in this place together tonight. I also want to say thanks to our legislative delegation in this region, which includes Senator Donahue, also includes Senator O'Connor-Ives, because we have spent the day actually touring this part of the state, which is a part of the Commonwealth conversations that we need to highlight. So we started this morning in Newburyport, we then went to Ipswich, we then went to Lawrence General Hospital, and now we've come here because part of Commonwealth conversations is allowing us as senators to go and see some of the highlights, some of the important things that are happening in every part of the state. And our legislative delegation from this part of the state, I think, did a great job, and I want to say thanks to them for helping us put this together so we could see all of those other places before we got to you here tonight. While I'm saying thank you, I also want to say thank you to Senator Rodericks, because it was his idea at the beginning of the last legislative session for us to go out and to do this. And I am honored to be co-chairing the Commonwealth conversations with Senator Rodericks, with the Senate President, which brings me to my next point. One of the reasons that it is important for us to come out and do this and share this time with you is to show you the model by which the Massachusetts State Senate operates. It is one which is respectful, is bipartisan, engages in healthy, informed debate, and makes progress on the issues that come before it. And we want to come out and demonstrate that to everyone, not only to show you, the people that we represent, but also hopefully to share an example with others that we hope will follow from that model. In addition to that, the most important reason that we come to you tonight is to be able to hear from you and to be able to be guided by what your thoughts are for priorities and issues of particular interest that we should be considering as we move forward in this legislative session. And I will tell you that for all of these that we've had so far, we have had vigorous turnouts, we have had robust participation, and it validates the fact that when we came out and said, will people participate, they would, and once again tonight you have. Now along the way, we know that many of you will come up to this microphone and talk about issues that are very concerning to you. We know that for some of you, they may even be hard to talk about. You may share with us a personal experience that's difficult to reiterate and share in public. For all of that, we are deeply appreciative. We know it's not easy all the time to speak in public. We know sometimes it's not easy to share those things with us, but it is critically important to all of us that you do that. And we are deeply, deeply appreciative that you've chosen to come and do it with us tonight. Now, as the Senate President mentioned, and I want to reinforce, you will see something tonight that is among the most rarest of things in the political spectrum. You will see approximately 30% of the state Senate, and I'm not that good at percentages, but a very significant percentage of state senators sit in front of you and say absolutely nothing. And that is because the importance of this process and the focus of it is not on us. We wind up in the media a lot for the things we say, but equally as important to speaking and saying something is listening. And that is the point of tonight. It could not happen without everyone that's made to work to make it possible, and we are all delighted to be here to spend this time with you. Thank you so much for coming out to participate.
I'm going to turn the microphone over to the senator, as I mentioned earlier, whose idea it was to do this exercise, to go across the Commonwealth with Commonwealth conversations. So without further ado, Senator Michael Rodrigues.
Thank you, Senator. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon. It's great to be here. We began the day very early. As you can tell, I'm not from these parts. I'm from southeastern Massachusetts. I'm an alum of UMass Dartmouth, so we have Lowell, Amherst, and Dartmouth alums. We all share the passion for the University of Massachusetts. Just to lay down some instructions in the ground rules, where everyone's going to have 2 minutes to speak, to tell us whatever is on your mind, whatever is important to you. We are here to listen. DJ is going to have the timer, so you'll hear the tone go off, and we'd ask you to respect that and to conclude your remarks when the tone goes off. We'd also ask you to tweet any of your thoughts. Hashtag is NEConvos or MAConvos. So please tweet your thoughts and your comments. And I was informed today, although I'm not that technologically adept, but that the hashtag NEConvos was trending today. So I think that's a good thing, right, Kelsey? Very good. Also, as the Senate President stated, the website is malegislature.gov/cc. There is an online survey going on. Before the conclusion of tonight's forum, we're going to give you the results to date, up to that time, of the issues that you are all voting on online, of the most important issues before us. So we're going to begin, and as was stated by both the Senate President and the Minority Leader, even though there are a number of microphones in front of us, the only one going to use it is Senator Donahue, and she introduce our speakers.
Thank you, Senator Rodrigues. So what I will do, we have people who have signed up. If someone wants to speak and just hasn't signed up to speak yet, you can do so outside. We just want to make sure we hear from everybody here tonight who would like to be heard. So what we will do, we have a microphone and a seat set up. I will announce 2 people at once. The first one who's coming up, and then the next who's going to be on deck so that we can keep things moving. So first up we have Carl Nellis. And the next person as Carl's making his way, is Patrick Cook. So just so you know. Welcome.
First, I'd just like to say thank you, senators, for coming out and listening. I am from Gloucester, so I came to have a nice, quiet, personal chat with you, Senator Tarr. I'm a member of a small group called Essex County Number 6 Indivisible. We've just started meeting in the past few months and talking about the legislative priorities that we have that we would like to share with the Senate. And one of the things that's really inspired us in the past few months is the ACLU's Freedom Agenda. Are you familiar with the Freedom Agenda? You're nodding, yes. So there are a few bills that have been proposed that have really excited us that we can get behind. The Fundamental Freedoms Act, which is sponsored by Senator Chandler, the Safe Communities Act, which Senator Eldridge sponsored, the Electronic Privacy Act, which Senator Spilka sponsored, and the Mandatory Minimums Repeal, which Senator Cream sponsored. So there are a number of us from Gloucester, so your constituents, people who, I live on Beacon Street, people who walk down Main Street, I do my laundry on Chestnut Street at the Homestyle Laundry. And I know that a number of my neighbors are afraid. They're very scared. Whether it's about our personal privacy, with our electronic communications, whether it's about whether we will be caught up in deportation rates, whether it is that we will have our rights to free speech curtailed. And so we are excited about this legislation that is putting those issues front and center and that wants strong protections for us, for our neighbors, for our rights. Written into Massachusetts state law. And so we urge you, as your constituents, Senator Tarr, to co-sponsor these bills. Thank you.
Thank you. Patrick Cook? I don't see Patrick. Lynn Sousa. Is Lynn here? Okay. Lauren Corcoran.
Sorry, this is Lynn.
Oh, Lynn. Sorry.
Hi, I'm here just to bring some attention on the foreclosure crisis still in Massachusetts. I just joined an organization called Lowell, and I have been fighting my mortgage company for 5 years. And it's basically taking everything out of me, but at one point I did function at a high level, and then there was a lot of sickness in my family, which led to hardship, and the mortgage company offered me a modification, but they play their games, and I sent them my documents, and they try to foreclose. So, I've done a lot of research and looked at the number of families that have been foreclosed in the state, and it's like astronomical. So we could really use some help there. And I'm like petrified. I don't know, if I lose my home, where I'm going to end up going. And it shouldn't be that way, because I worked hard for my house and I had a great career. But the stress that they put on you and the games that they play with the sole intention of just taking your house in the end anyway, it's just horrible. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Lauren Corcoran.
Good evening, Senators and Mr. President. Thank you so much for coming to Lowell. I live in the Pawtuckaville area of Lowell. I'm also Director of Government Relations for Mass Senior Care. We represent most of the nursing facilities around the state. There are about 400. We have a lot of concerns. A lot, of course, are based on some anxieties related to repeal and replace ACA. That will actually take place about the same time in 2020 as the bubble hits for baby boomers. But we have other fiscal pressures like many healthcare organizations. including issues with our user fee, and now some new slight regulatory threats that could disrupt our sector to the point of very quick closures to a number of nursing homes, almost a nursing home in every single one of your senatorial districts, about 134. These homes are of 5-star quality homes often. So we will be meeting with you at the State House. Since you came to my house, I'm going to come to 24 Beacon to your house, and we'll visit and talk more about that. But we do have some real concerns around the ACA repeal and replace happening about the same time that we're looking at having an influx of seniors, whether they need short-term or long-term care. And the fact that we haven't had a base year update that's significant since 2007. Many nursing homes, most, half of our providers are operating in the red. Some only have 4 days cash on hand. If you have a business background, that's terrifying. So we see some real trouble ahead, and we'll be meeting with you individually about that. But I thank you for your time, and thank you for coming to Lowell. And I'll see you at the State House.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, Mike Sullivan. And let me ask, I don't know if there's a panel that wants to speak together. If you want to come up together for Mass Realtors, that's great. And just identify yourself by name. And if you want to stand and hold the microphone, whatever's more comfortable.
Stand behind me.
Stand behind, okay. Just so we know who's who, do you mind?
Will Molina, Mike Sullivan, Kim Weeks,
Kim Weeks, great.
and Paul York. Paul York.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, and members of the Senate. I'm Mike Sullivan. I'm a co-owner of a real estate agency. We're located in Methuen, Lawrence, and North Reading. I'm here as part of a board of directors for the Northeast Association of Realtors. It's always also part of the Mass Association of Realtors, consisting of approximately 24,000 realtors throughout the state of Massachusetts. And our message is to help with the affordability of housing. As we all know, there's a shortage of housing, and the housing market just seems to be tough for just about everybody to afford. And there's a great bill that was sponsored, that was filed by Senator Sear, that we're excited about. It's called the First Time Homebuyer Savings Account Program. And due to the rising cost of housing and crippling student loan debt, it's impacting younger generations to try to buy houses. Saving for a down payment and closing costs is extremely challenging in today's economy. And programs like the Homebuyer Savings Account uses a small state tax incentive to encourage future home buyers to save for the purchase of their home. And we feel the benefits of home ownership to individuals and communities are well documented. This program would allow future home buyers to deposit up to $5,000 per year into a first-time home buyer savings account, and then claim that contribution as a deduction on their income tax. Aside from the great pride that home ownership can take, as you all know, when achieving the American dream, there's a tremendous amount of economic activity that follows from the purchase. According to research from the National Association of Realtors, when a home is bought, consumers spend an average of $4,572 on items such as furniture, appliances, and remodeling. And in addition to this, economic multiplier, in Massachusetts, the effect estimates about $17,000 into the economy with restaurants, sports, and charity events. And we highly endorse this, and you're going to hear from a couple of other speakers behind me talking about housing affordability. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you for the opportunity, and again, thank you, Senators, for setting this forum. My name is Will Molina, and I'm a realtor at the office of Coburley & Associates in Haverhill, Massachusetts, and we have several offices in the Merrimack Valley. So Merrimack Valley is my home. And I'd like to talk or voice my concern with regards to a bill that would allow current homeowners to complete any necessary loan modifications, short sales, and foreclosures, and remain exempt from paying taxes on the said forgiven debt. The Massachusetts Association of Realtors supports S1568, an act relative to discharge of indebtedness of principal residents from gross income. This bill was filed by Senator Mark Lagani. This bill would mirror the federal law, the Mortgage Debt Relief Act of 2007. It would allow homeowners who complete loan modifications, short sales, and foreclosures to be held harmless from tax liability on the forgiven debt. We call this phantom income. Under current state law, the amount forgiven is treated as a taxable event. Let me give you an example. Assume a family purchased their home for $300,000 with a mortgage of $275,000. Later, they need to sell this home, but the home value in their area have declined and they can only sell for $225,000. At the time of the sale, the outstanding balance on their mortgage is $250,000, not leaving enough cash at settlement to repay the lender for the full balance. If the lender forgives the entire difference between the amount owed and the sales price, the debt forgiven will be $25,000. Under current Massachusetts law, the amount of forgiven mortgage debt is treated as income and taxed as ordinary income rates. Thus, the seller who experienced a true economic loss is required to pay tax on this phantom income. Even though no cash has been changed hands, and even though their experience is a loss, under this proposal, the forgiven amount is not subject to income tax. If this amendment is not enacted, homeowners will continue to pay income tax on phantom income on their state tax returns. Homeowners should not be forced to pay taxes on money they have already lost with cash they never received and will never receive. A personal experience.
I'm sorry, but the bell went off.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very
I know.
much. Hopefully you'll support it.
Thank you very much. Just when you hear that bell, that just is your time.
I thought it was someone's phone going off.
Yeah, I know. It was.
Kim Weeks, and I'm a realtor in Newburyport, Massachusetts. I'm also president of our Newburyport board, and I'm here to speak on the home bill. And I guess I would like to voice the same concern as a realtor regarding the affordability of housing in Massachusetts and just provide a few ways that we can begin to address this problem. The first is by supporting an act improving housing opportunities in the Massachusetts economy. So due to the short supply of housing in Massachusetts, potential homeowners, they continue to face increasing housing costs. And one of the many issues driving the reduced housing stock is the presence of barriers of production, many of which are found in the current zoning laws. So the Massachusetts Association of Realtors, in conjunction with the Greater Boston Real Estate Board, do support S94 filed by Senator Rodericks, which addresses some of the barriers. Some of the provisions include the allowing of multifamily housing construction by right, allowing accessory dwelling units by right, easing the production of cluster development housing, simplifying the variance burdens, and approving special permits by a majority vote. Zoning is too often it's used to prevent the production of new housing in Massachusetts. So this bill requires that each community share in the work required to begin addressing the problem of affordable housing in our Commonwealth. I thank you all very much for listening.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Paul Yorkis. I am the president of the Massachusetts Association of Realtors. And I would like to thank you collectively as a group, but also each one of you individually for being here and for listening to not just us, but all of the other folks who will be speaking with you tonight. I am asking you not to pass legislation necessarily, but to use your influence this evening when you get back to the State House to try and change some regulations that would allow all of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to have the opportunity to have high-speed internet. This portion of the Commonwealth is fine. Western Mass and North Central Mass is not. Yesterday I had the opportunity, along with another realtor from Alford, Massachusetts. Yes, there is a community named Alford. A fellow by the name of Tom Doyle, and we met with Deborah Anderson and Donald W. Vokey, both of whom are assistant attorney generals who deal with contracts. And there are municipal light power companies that want to implement high-speed internet services. And the Massachusetts Broadband Institute has been changing their policies quickly recently. But money is what is needed to be freed up so this can happen quickly, because the economic impact of a lack of broadband service in western and north central Massachusetts is having an incredibly negative impact on housing, on education, and on small businesses. And we believe that you are in a position to talk with members of the administration about having as many rules and regulations streamlined as possible so the money can become available. And in addition, last comment is to please consider changing the Mass Works grant program to include high-speed internet as an eligible project. And again, thank you.
Thank you very much. We have also listened to Lori Lafferty. No. Okay, next, Dee Halsdick. I want to make sure. Halsdick. I just want to make sure I was pronouncing your name correctly.
Thank you. Thank you, senators, for coming to listen to us. I'm here to speak in support of the Safe Communities Act. Food is a basic need of all of us, and from markets to restaurants to farming operations in the state, our food supply is very dependent on the participation of immigrants, some of whom are, yes, undocumented, and going after them would affect the state. The state has a lot of other needs that are more important than enforcing federal immigration law. I would rather see our state resources dealing with the opioid crisis and not going after undocumented immigrants. You can't tell who's undocumented by looking at somebody, which means, and has already caused, people who have legitimate documentation for being in the U.S. to be harassed. And I would not want to see our state continue to support that kind of operation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Particularly Senator Donahue must be looking and saying, that's not Richard
Well,
Howe.
there's two.
I'm not related to the more famous Lowell Howes, but I'm from Andover and Senator
Well,
Lataille's
welcome.
sister.
We're happy to see you.
Thank you. I think, in fact, my namesake may be here tonight.
He was here a minute ago.
And I hope I don't embarrass him. I am recently retired. I live in Andover, and just after the election this fall, I went to a meeting, as many of us did, that was called by Congressman Seth Moulton down in Peabody, and about 500 or 600 of us there, divided up into groups on various issues. The one that I chose, that I feel very strongly about, is income inequality, and attended a group meeting there. And we've met since then. Massachusetts is one of the worst states in the country in terms of the inequality between our highest earners and our lowest earners. And that's been the trend in all states since the 1970s. So as we met, we wondered what we could do to think globally but act locally. And we decided that we would link up with an organization called Raise Up Massachusetts that you may all have heard of. because the three priorities of Raise Up Massachusetts all affect income inequality and provide some very specific steps that could be taken to improve the situation here in Massachusetts so that we can continue to be a leading state in the country in many ways, as you all know. So the three priorities for this year are paid family and medical leave, a bill that was filed by Senator Karen Spilka, Senate 1048, and is co-sponsored, I think, by many of the other senators, including a number of you here. Secondly, a bill to raise the minimum wage to $15, Senate 1004, sponsored by Senator Ken Donnelly. And the third is the Fair Share Amendment to the Constitution, which would allow a tax, an additional surtax of 4% on incomes over $1 million. As you can understand, these three directly address the issue of income inequality, and I hope that the Senate will continue to support them and will support the constitutional amendment when it comes up again in the spring.
Thank you, Mr. Danny Keating. And next up is Sam Polton. Maybe we'll take Mr. Polton while we wait for Danny. There you go.
Good evening, and thank you very much, and thank you, President Rosenberg, for the shout out to WCAP. I'm not here as a member of WCAP at the microphone, but rather as a school committeeman from Neshoba, Neshoba Valley Technical High School. We're proud to be part of the excellent education community we all enjoy in the Merrimack Valley. In times of budget constraints, please remember our regional vocational high schools because they're valuable, cost-effective, and successful partners in the education of the Commonwealth students. In fact, I'm especially proud to be here at UMass Lowell because this is part of a seamless path to jobs, research, and lifelong learning that our students enjoy by simultaneously taking classes at Neshoba Tech and Middlesex Community College to eventually come to UMass Lowell. Not only does this benefit our students, it benefits us because they stay here. We are a regional school, and as such, we bring all of our students to us on buses. And when regional schools were formed, a promise was made that that cost would be offset by the Commonwealth because of the savings of having, in our case, the towns of, I don't want to forget anybody, the towns of Chelmsford, Ayr, Littleton, Pepperell, Shirley, Townsend, and Westford brought to a central location. Yet every year, not only don't we get reimbursed 100%, that reimbursement seems to always be cut. So I'm asking for you to consider our value when that is done. And one other thing. We at Neshoba are part of 7 school districts. Please don't make us compete for funds. Work out a way for regional vocational schools to be funded, not to the detriment of the sending communities. Thank you.